As I learned in this podcast back in 2016, data became more valuable than oil. Let me say that again. Data became more valuable than oil. That is a massive statement. But if you think about it, it's true. Look how many times you get targeted on Facebook for things that you've shown an interest in. In today's podcast, we're talking about how you can use data to create an amazing customer experience. Guys, it is so important that you're in the data collection business. I tell you, over at Tradie Web Guys, we do this now religiously for our clients. We help them collate information and customer segmented lists and all this kind of stuff, because we know that down the track, it will become super valuable. And if anybody ever wants to come along and potentially buy your company, you've got a beautiful asset just sitting there for them to acquire. This is the third part of Getting Paid On Site and On Time series. This one is called Using Data to Create an Amazing Customer Experience. It stems on from part 2, which was called Technology That Removes Friction and Improves Efficiency, which stemmed on from part 1, which was called Upfront Pricing Isn't Magic, It's Science and Consistency. Guys, this is an incredibly valuable series. I encourage you to go back and check the other episodes out if you haven't already listened or viewed them. You can watch this podcast on Facebook, at the Facebook page, at the Site Shed. You can also check it out on YouTube, or if you just want to listen to it, then you can listen to it wherever you normally consume your podcasts. iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, you name it. Anyway, that's all from me. Enjoy this podcast. It is the third and final episode, as I said, so please make sure you leave us some comments and let us know what you think about it. And if you've got any experiences, then by all means, leave some of those experiences with us too. Today's podcast has been proudly brought to you by Tradie Web Guys. Tradie Web Guys work with tradespeople only on their websites and marketing solutions to help them stand out from their competition. Everything from web design through to SEO, search engine marketing, content creation, you name it, guys. It is a customized solution for trade-based organizations, and it's fantastic. Head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/apply, fill in the form, and let's have a conversation.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to the Site Shed podcast. You're joining us for part 3 of the Getting Paid On Site and On Time series that I am conducting with Marcel from Flat Rate Now. Marcel, welcome back.
Thank you for having me again, Matt.
This has been an excellent series so far. Part 1, we were talking about upfront pricing. It's not magic, it's science and consistency, where we spoke about, I suppose, understanding what your numbers are within your business, so that when you go to put forward your bill or your invoice to your customer, that you're encompassing all the areas of your business, so that you're not, at the end of the day, losing money.
Yep.
Very important. Go and check that one out, guys, if you have not yet listened or seen it. Part 2 was technology that removes friction and improves efficiency. Again, another fantastic episode where we spoke about how, by implementing certain tools and certain technologies within your business, you can effectively eliminate a lot of the bottlenecks that you will typically run into via human error. Also how you can improve, I suppose, the running and the operations of your business and make things a lot more streamlined. And then in this episode, we're talking about using data to create an amazing customer experience, a topic that is very dear to my heart. And I know we did touch on a little bit in the last episode. We're talking about, using technology to remove friction, improve efficiency. But the beautiful thing about technology as well is that, it does give you the ability to instantly create and build data. And, as I said in the last episode, you're not in the plumbing business, you're not in the building game, you're not in the electrical business, you're in the data business. And, as you said, was it back in 2016, data became more important, more valuable than oil. And it's true, if you think about your data and the databases that you guys are building, you're sitting on a gold mine, but a lot of you guys don't even know it. And so, one of the big things over the years, Marcel, that we've been able to help our clients with is using technology and using data to re-engage with their existing customers. And I know flat rate is quite useful for that as well. But I mean, using things like marketing automation and just even understanding what your customers' interests are. Like if they click on a certain link within your newsletter, you can apply a tag to that link, which shows that they're interested in whatever that link was: hot water heaters, block drains, LED lighting, whatever it is. So then when you're running a promotion, or when you're offering a service, or when you're doing something specifically, creating a piece of content relevant around, that specific tag, you can target that content to those people because you know that they are interested. It becomes very, very relevant when you're talking about like larger projects as well. Like we find that it's extremely useful for builders and things like that, because when people come to them and they're asking for a quote on a kitchen, or maybe it's a renovation, or maybe it's a first floor addition or something like that, very often in 3, 5, 10 years time, that person may be looking for an additional service to add onto their property. And having that data available means that you can re-engage that customer. And we know statistically that you're 8 times more likely to retain a client than to gain a new one. So that has a lot of impacts along the way, including finance, including energy, including marketing expenses, and all these kind of things. So it all becomes very relevant.
I agree 100% everything you said there, and I love it as well. I think data is what you can do with data. It's unbelievable, and there will be a lot of listeners out there going, I just don't understand that. That's not what I got into business for. Unfortunately, today, you need to be across that. You need to understand it. Whether you can do it, that's a different question. I can't do digital marketing. I don't even think about it. I can't write. I can barely spell my name right. I could not create content that would be well received by our potential clients and our clients as well. But it's just about understanding what there is out there and what you should be doing, and then finding the right people to connect with who can deliver on that for you. It's not about, having to go to university and learning everything again, reinventing the wheel. It's just about connecting the dots and outsourcing what you can to help leverage that massive wealth of data that you're just simply sitting on, to improve your business processes, to reduce the cost, of acquisition the cost of acquisition, to reduce the cost of lead generation, to, benefit yourself. There's a lot that you can do with the data, and it's not about, I don't know it, don't understand it, run away from it. Find someone that does understand it well, work with them on it, start to see the benefits.
The beauty as well, guys, and I say this to clients all the time, is you may not, and this is a constant reality for us as a digital agency when we're dealing with customers. They are very often not ready to have the conversation around, like if they come to us for a website or whatever it is, marketing solutions, they're very often not ready to have the conversation around building databases and collating data and all this kind of stuff, because it's just where they're at. It's not that it's not relevant, it's just that it's too hard for them to grasp at that point in time. So I will always say to guys, this isn't a conversation that you're probably ready to have right now. But what we're going to do is we're going to implement this technology into the business, because I know that in 12 months' time, you are going to be ready to have that conversation. And throughout the period between we're talking right now and 12 months down the track, it will be collecting data along the way, so that when we are ready to implement it, we've already got a database that we can use. And that typically makes sense to people. So that's an important paradigm. You don't need to necessarily understand, the intricacies of this, although we're going to dive into it a little bit within this podcast. It's just important that you understand that you do have some tool that is collating that information for you, so that when you are ready to use it, you can use it, because without it, you can't use it.
You can't go 0 to 100. It's virtually impossible to do. If you don't have the foundations there to do it, then it's just not going to work. But you're right. That's the sign of a good consultant, of a good digital marketer, of a good business, whatever it might be. If they can turn around and say to you, you're just not ready. There are a lot of businesses out there that will go, come here, no worries yet. Start giving us $15,000 a month, and we'll get your website going, we'll get your social media pumping, and it's 2 guys in the office. They're not going to be able to take all the phone calls, not going to be able to answer all the questions. But you do have to be mindful that there are people out there that are going to be more interested in seeing the dollar value than your best interest of the business. But that's, unfortunately, that's just the way life is. And you just got to kind of just do some research yourself. You mentioned this in the first episode. Everything that we're talking about today and in the previous episodes, do your own research as well. Actually go out there and have a look and read and ask your friends how they did it. And they will all say that they crawled, they walked, and then they run.
Yeah.
They didn't go from crawling to running. It's just impossible. You have to get that foundation right first and find the right people to help you to build that, so that in 12 months' time you can then go, bang, here's money, my first marketing campaign, my first social media campaigns, or whatever it might be, allows you to then, maximize those chances.
Yeah. And you'll find as well, guys, data is there to help you steer the ship in the right direction. And very often, if you're entering into a new vertical, or you've got a new product that you're launching, or whatever it might be a new business altogether, you'll very often find that, the business that you've launched is significantly different 12 months down the track due to the data that you've been able to get back. So, for example, you might have launched a company that was focused, a plumbing company, and you've realized 12 months down the track that 95% of your work has come through block drains. So you've really started to steer the ship in towards the block drain business, which is great because it's been able you to niche down a lot more on a specific area of your vertical. Now, that information all comes through data. And, it's one of the exercises we go through in Trading Mate Pro, actually. One of the first things we do is we have a look at the different income streams, and then we have a look at, the resources that are applied to that income stream and the revenue that it generates to figure out, is this a valuable, service for the business, and should we either double down on it or should we cut it all together? And very often you'll find that we've done this number of times with clients is, their biggest income generating stream is the one that we cut because it takes up way too much of their resource and it has low profit margins, and you can't figure that stuff out without data. So, over the years we've said, I've banged on so much about the importance of building your asset, and the asset is in the database, and the fundamental, backbone of a database is data. So get good at creating data.
That's exactly right. And it ties into, as we mentioned in episode 2, the technology is there, and technology is just moving data between one point to another. But it's just being able to capture that and have that centralized somewhere, which is, as you said, database. It lands all in one place, then you can start to manipulate it. One thing that we found with our flat rate now users, and we updated a feature within our software about 4 or 5 months ago now, is that we found that a lot of businesses just, even though you can use a quoting system like flat rate now, you can use a quoting system like ServiceMate or whatever, Invoice to go, breaking down into the actual nitty-gritty data, the details behind the data can be difficult to understand. It can be like walking through on landmines, thinking, what's going to happen here? What am I looking at there? I don't understand this. It's uncharted territory for a lot of people. And one thing that we found is we did a slight tweak to an accepted quote. So this ties into episode 1 about understanding your costs, and then what you just said then, some of the channels that you're bringing your income streams in can be very low profit and take up a lot of your time. So with this feature that we rolled out, when you accept the quotation, it would quickly tell you in an email what the cost of it. So what the quote was, so $1,000. How much of it is materials? How much of it is labor? What's your expected profit margin? How much you offered as saving? And did you give any free tasks away? It was massive when we rolled it out straight away. The response we got was massive. We had businesses specifically contacted me and said, look, we had a couple of our employees, a couple of our tradesmen were building quotes. They were turning over a lot of money. There was a lot of cash coming through on their quotes, but we couldn't figure out why we were making no money on those employees. And then when we rolled that update out, it was like that. You could see they were giving away a free jet job for half an hour. That's $280 gone. They were giving out, so it wasn't just a garden hose they were giving away. They were giving some of the most expensive taps for free to get the job across the line. Now, it's all well and good if you look at the total value of the quote as $10,000, but if the profit on that quote is only $1,000, $800, and you're now giving away a task that's worth $800, you're giving away your labor, you're giving away the material and the profit on that task. So that was just wiping out all that profit that was possible on that job. And they were essentially just doing the job on a cost basis, and sometimes losing money out of their pocket. So that was just a simple way of looking at the data that we had on that quote. We knew the labor, we knew the cost of the material, and we knew how much he was selling it for. And being able to do a quick mathematical equation to then tell you very quickly when the quote was accepted, this is what you're expected to make. The changes that were done in businesses from that information has been phenomenal. Quickly change that can't be free anymore. That can't be any free anymore. Only going to give these ones away. Don't complement this. Don't change this. Don't do that. And it was just being able to tell them and show them that information that allowed them to make those changes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I suppose, like, fundamentally, it's a hard thing to go granularly into when we're talking about using data to create a great customer experience. But I suppose, generally speaking, if you guys can just consider the advantages of being able to communicate with a customer about something that's relevant to them. For example, you're a builder and you've had a client that has opted in for an ebook or a report or something on your website which talks about how home renovations can improve the value of your property or something like that. That customer's relevant in home renovations. So being able to send them communications looking forward about home renovations is invaluable to them. They're interested and you're really targeting that information directly for them. So it's creating a great customer experience. And you'll find that customer experience has a direct correlation to your sales cycle. So, especially for you guys that have a longer sales cycle, although it's relevant as well to you guys that have, in the emergency service game, because, very often, for example, if you've got a customer that's, got a blocked drain, then, statistically speaking, unless you've dug up and replaced it or, relined the pipe or something like that, they're going to probably need to get their drain recleaned in the next 3 or 4 months. So, the lifetime value of that customer also becomes relevant. And being able to make sure that you've got data which enables you to get back in front of that customer in 3 or 4 months' time before the drain blocks up, that is a great customer experience. It means they don't have shit overflowing in their house again, so on and so forth. So
it's massive. Being able to use the data that sits in. So if you look at the softwares out there, such as HubSpot, Infusionsoft, there's heaps of them out there that will act as your marketing tool. You can then build into the personas, make reminders, put reminders, do whatever you need with those softwares to tell you, okay, you installed a tempering valve, you installed the safety switch, you've gone out there and connected up the switchboard, you've installed a brand new air conditioning unit. You're a builder and you've gone through and you built you finished the renovation. You can do reminders to reach out to those customers. If you've done a block drain, put a reminder there for 3 to 6 months, 3 or 6 months to contact them. You install a tempering valve. The Australian standard is every 12 months. It needs to be routinely checked. Performance. Safety switches need to be checked every 12 months. By using the data that you've got, you can then actually reduce your cost that you need to spend to generate new leads. If you have to spend 100% of your money on generating new leads all the time, then that's not a very successful business. You should be leveraging your historical data to reduce the amount of money that you need to spend to generate new leads and get your retention up. But I can tell you now, if you contacted your clients and said, 12 months ago, I came out and I installed a tempering valve. Tempering valves need to be checked for performances every 12 months to ensure that they are tempering the water so that you don't burn your little 3-year-old Maddie's son.
Yeah.
Like that, they're going to go, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And you can then say, look, I'll come out for free. I'll come and actually inspect it for free because that's our ongoing service to our customers. And while you're out there, you notice that the anode's getting a bit old. Oh, you can then go in there and you can do an upsell. If you're an electrician, you've done a safety switch, you can go out there, you test the safety switch, you notice that the smoke alarm's making that beeping sound every 6 minutes. Oh, I need to change the battery on that one. I'm glad I was here because it's illegal to not have a smoke alarm. Yeah. So that helps you to not only get back in front of the customer and upsell, but it's also you're giving your customer that level of that value that they're not getting anywhere else. That they shouldn't have to wait to contact you for an emergency.
Yeah.
It's like servicing your car. You go and get a service every year because you don't want to have to go to him in 3 years' time and be told that the gasket's blown, the exhaust system's busted and all this. You want to know ahead of time.
Well, it's like as well, you go to the dentist. You don't go to the dentist once your tooth's fallen out. You go to the dentist regularly to prevent your teeth from falling out.
It's exactly right. And property's the same. Property needs care. Property, it needs to be looked after. And if it's not maintained and looked after, you can see buildings that haven't had any maintenance done for a while. They're like 6-7 years old and they look like they've been around since bloody 1800s. It's quick.
I was trying to find accurate data on, the cost of the cost advantages of retaining a client versus finding a new one, but I couldn't dig anything up. So it's probably another statistic that I've made up along the way.
It's funny you said it, because I was actually looking for one of those yesterday as well. It's something like, if a return customer is 5 times more likely, it's either 3 or 5 times more likely to spend 8 times the value with you than a new customer who is only going to actually, you'll only win 5 to 25% of the time, and it'll only be the very bare basics that they will pay. So the fact that you've dealt with them before, you've handled them, you provide the solution, and you've worked with them, it builds rapport, it builds a relationship, and people want to work with people that they know. They don't want to have to work with new people all the time. It's not fun. It's exhausting.
And in terms of building rapport, I mean, even just at a basic level, being able to rock up to a customer's home and, knowing the name of their kids or knowing the name of their dog or whatever it is, like there's a lot of technology that will enable you to enter that data into the system. So when you rock up, you can say, "Oh, hey Rover, how you going?" And the customer's like, "Wow, this guy's amazing. He remembers everything."
But, you sound like Jesus. Like, oh my God, he remembers it all. There's some technology can make you.
So, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I suppose we don't really need to go too much more into this than we already have. But I think it's important for customers to understand that if you are using technology, it does enable you to collect, organize, segment your data quite well. And there's various tools that you can use. There's obviously flat rate products, there's job management tools, there's project management tools, there's customer relationship management software, there's email marketing tools, all these kind of things. You don't need to get too bogged down with them. Fundamentally, I suppose what you just need to consider is, what data should I be collecting on this customer that can help me serve them better in the future? And I suppose that's fundamentally, the question you need to ask. And then once you understand what that is, there's dozens of tools out there that can help you collate that information. I think that's a pretty good wrap up on this episode. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And if you're not too sure, put your hand up, ask your mates, contact Matt, have a chat with him. He's in that space and he's keen with data. So he can pass you down to other individuals who, that's their bread and butter. They go in there, they look at your business and they can actually see, okay, these are your low hanging fruits. Don't pick the top ones, the hardest to get. What are the small little wins that we can do now that are really going to help you in the long term? It's really as simple as that.
So for you listeners and viewers out there, I hope you guys have had as much fun listening and viewing this as we have recording it. It's certainly been a insightful series. So thank you very much, Marcel, for your time. It's been invaluable.
Again, thank you for having me, Matt. It's been good fun. Really enjoyed it. I do love data and I do love technology. So and what it can do for everyone. So really looking forward to it.
Guys, if you want to get hold of Marcel, you can head across to flatratenow.net. You can certainly get in touch with him through the Facebook community where he is in there and active. And there is going to be some lead magnets available as well on the episodes that you've witnessed. So you can, by all means, head across there, grab hold of those for a value-packed punch. Marcel, I think that wraps it up, man.
It does. Thank you very much, mate.
Rock and roll.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to thesiteshed.com where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from the show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.